together for your good. But first you ask, and then you wait. Pump your brakes, leave it in his hands. Have patience through the test. Stay the course even when the trials come. He never said they wouldn't fall, but you know that he said they cannot stand. They can't stand because you were called and chosen to be the chain. Be the chain that someone needs to pick them up, give them strength. But you gotta be patient. You gotta be, yes, patient. Patient. The road gets dark. The nights get dreary, yeah. Night get dreary. See, the enemy, he comes to steal, to kill, and destroy. But my Father said he'd come to give you life and peace and so much joy. I know that the road seems hard. See, I've been there myself a time or two, but I promise it will pass. Just let patience do what it do. Be patient with yourself. All the pressures of life comes to make you strong. The one thing that pressure does is it creates a diamond that once was rough. All your trials are just a test to shape and mold you for your testimony. You gotta go and walk it out. Wave no white flags, don't give up, but you gotta be patient. Gotta be patient, yes. Be patient, be patient. Don't worry, be happy, yes. Have patience now. You're not perfect. Eyes haven't seen, nor have
Connecting the community through gospel.
The new 107.9 FM, W300EB.
Macon and WDDO 980 AM.
Perry.
Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Mother Georgia, she's back on live, the historic 980 WDDO. All of a sudden, let's go live into the studio with our host, Brenda Sutton.
Well, hello.
Hey.
But girl, you see I got my suit on.
I know you've been working a day and taking care of business.
You know what, they got me working down at the courthouse.
Oh, Lord.
And I just been doing some stuff. And
Good.
so just chilling. I want to thank you. And I'm doing it on air because I think that you should always give things where people can hear it.
Okay. Thank me for what I done did.
Thank you so much for the bath bombs.
Oh.
And I don't know if you do deliveries like that, but I so like that.
Uh-huh.
And we so like the
Hey, Matthew.
I so appreciate you doing that. Happy birthday. Matthew has a birthday. Matthew, can you say happy birthday to Matthew? Because he just had one that passed.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Matthew. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, who y'all singing to?
Happy birthday, Matthew. Whoever Matthew is, happy birthday.
We're singing to Matthew.
I get into the station and someone's being serenaded. My goodness, how much did you charge them?
I didn't.
We didn't, because he's just the nicest guy.
See, that's the problem. There's too many freebies. They need to make some money. It's a gift.
You're welcome,
it's
Matthew.
It's a gift. Weren't you the person in here a couple of weeks ago talking about how artists are undervalued?
But she did ask me to sing to Matthew.
I do, because
he said, "Love it, thank you, Matthew."
Matthew is just one of the kindest guys that you have ever seen. I mean, he's such a sweet person.
Well, awesome. Well, hopefully I can meet Matthew one day.
He and his wife. And his mom. He just. Some people like I kind of know, and they come from good stock. He's one of those people that just come from good stock. Mm-hmm. The way I met Matthew, which I'd known him in the past, but one of those kind of people who respect the elders, real talk. I was trying to figure out how to fix the garage because I couldn't get the garage to, the remotes to work. Mm-hmm. And so I was on Facebook and I went online and I said, well, somebody help us. Mm-hmm. Program the remote. And Matthew said, I'll help you do that.
Oh.
And drove out there and helped Henry, fix that and would do anything for me and Henry. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, and there's no throw like you being older, but when you are older, you don't really know how to do a lot of things like that. And so I just really appreciate him, coming out and do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I will admit that as our seniors age and technology gets more and more advanced, it gets challenging to keep up with. So my brother just bought my mom an iPhone 14 Pro Max or Max Pro or something to that effect. And so my mom's been an Android girl her entire life. And ever since she's had a cell phone, she's had an Android. And, she doesn't have the, I have a Samsung Galaxy 23 or whatever it's called. So she has just a, regular run of the mill Android. Yeah. So she went from that.
What does it have to be referred to as a run of the mill Android?
I mean, because that's what it is.
Oh,
and she got upgraded to an iPhone 14 Pro Max or something to that. She was like, what is this? I mean, for a minute there, she didn't want it. She was
a $1,200 phone.
Well, yeah, she said she pulled it up and it was for everything that she got. Well, my brother sent her, it was $1,600.
I was going to say, because it's expensive, but by the way, I have Henry got me, and y'all know that Henry just spoils me rotten.
Oh my God.
Got me, I think a 12 a while back. And for those out there who
what do you mean by a 12? For those of us who just got rid of their flip phones. We don't understand any of that
iPhone
terminology.
An
is numbers.
iPhone 12, which is 2 phones below what Emily's mom has.
So can you tell me what the advantage of an iPhone is, please?
Well, for me, so that you can understand, my electronic ecosystem in the house is all Apple. So that means like I have an iPad, I have an iMac, I have Apple TV, the little external thing that goes on it. I have Apple TV. So all of my electronics sync together. So whatever I do on my phone will sync to my computers and to my iPad. So I don't have to go through and update this one and this one and this one.
So you're saying like you can show your text messages on your TV screen?
I could, but really what it is, I can get a text message on my iPhone, and that same text message will go to my iPad. It'll also go to my work phone because it's an Apple. So anything that has an Apple, anything that's Apple is all connected.
So if somebody's trying to contact you and you tell them you didn't get their message,
That's not true.
you would have gotten it because they would have been reaching out to you in so many different vehicles.
That is correct.
So if Brenda tells you she didn't get your message, just know she had multiple vehicles to receive your message from.
Now, let me just say this. Sometimes, even though you have electronics, sometimes electronics don't work all that time. So all the way, because you can send something out, swear that you sent it out, look at your phone, and just, and this, and also know that there's different things they can clone your number. They can go in and do all kind of fake stuff. You got to be real careful with these electronics. Now, one day we're going to do a show on spyware. I'm going to have somebody come on so you can really understand. You don't sleep around people, with I'm gonna sleep around, but when you go to bed, somebody can get your phone and put something on your phone and track everything you do. Just simply with an app. And you don't even know the app is on your phone. It's just running behind it. So it keeps up with all of your keystrokes and everything.
I'm aware of that.
Oh, but it can also send out texts from your number too.
Boy, am I aware of that.
Okay, you've experienced that. No, I mean, I know some people, putting all jokes aside.
I was not joking, Brenda.
I know some people that did it. And let me just tell you, I don't know how they got into their photos, Emily, today. Hey, Randy, how you doing? I don't know how they got
Crawford.
I don't know how they got into their photos, but for some way they got into their photos remote, and then they sent photos of whoever to different ones to their job. I mean, it was, it was a mess. So I don't play around with this electronics and stuff like that. I keep my electronics close.
Well, yeah, it's like, so going back to what I was saying, teaching our elderly how to use this technology is getting more and more challenging because the technology itself is advancing so much faster than it did even 2 or 3 years ago. It's hard, for them to keep up. I'm constantly, telling my mom, do this, do that. You got to do this. She was like, what does that mean? And how do I do this? And where did that come from? So I was, a bit upset when my brother said he sent her an iPhone 14. I said, well, you're all the way, up there. Like, we're the ones that are going to have to teach her how to work on a completely different operating system, because the age-old debate, Android versus iPhone. I think whatever your preference is your preference. But somebody that has only had an Android all of their life and they all of a sudden switch to an iPhone and they're 74 years old, you're talking about trying to teach somebody a whole new language, because iPhones and Androids operate on different operating systems. Totally different. And so the first thing she said, I don't like this facial recognition. I don't like it, scanning my face every time I want to use my phone. Well, Mom, that's what iPhones do.
That's correct.
And then they have, the fingerprint. She was like, I don't want the system having my fingerprint. Well, Mom, that's what iPhones do. That's why you should have stuck with an Android.
Well, Henry's is like that. Henry has that really, I call it like that souped up Android, and his does the same thing.
See, mine can do that because I have the latest Samsung, but I just don't program my phone to do that. I don't want my fingerprint stored in my phone.
And even my mama in the nursing home, Y'all don't know Brenda.
Oh Lord.
Y'all know, you know my
better leave
mama.
her alone.
You know my.
Hey, Kiara.
Hey, Kiara. My mama talking about, you need to get me an iPhone so I can FaceTime. Now my mama 87 years old.
Do not get her no iPhone because your mom gonna FaceTime you all day, every day.
She does. Let me tell you something.
Oh, you stop talking about mama.
Let me tell you something.
And Kiara can only speak to Emily, huh? Okay, cool beans.
You know, wait a minute.
Cool beans.
So mama called me. Mama calls me at 2 and 3 o'clock because mama has dementia. And so she'll call me like, when she called me the other day, it was like 3 o'clock. I said, Mama, she want to like FaceTime. I said, Mama, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. She said, I ain't know, baby.
I asked you not to start picking at your mother, and she's going to do it anyway.
I thought it was the afternoon. You better tell Al Jr. to come up here and get that baby. He done left his baby up here and ain't got no diapers for it. I said, Lord.
I asked you kindly to leave her alone.
Miss Verena,
I love my mama. You know, it ain't. That's my mama. I love her now.
But this is what I tell folks. Her mind ain't that gone because she know how to FaceTime you and she knew what number to call.
Yeah,
so
she know how to FaceTime. Hey, Johnny.
The time may have been a little bit
I ain't lying,
but she had all the sense to
she
call
know,
you. So
by the way, she know how to FaceTime. That chick know how to send out emojis and everything else. I'm like, what's up with this?
Happy birthday, Matthew Bonner.
Yeah, that's some funny stuff.
That was late.
But
I just got here.
Hey, you know what? I ain't got. Can somebody read that because?
Hey, Johnny HOLINGSHED Jr. Even though you wouldn't let me sing last night,
you came too late. It's simple as that. We had too many other people that were there, like at 9:30 and stuff like that.
Are you gonna let me sing if I come?
Brenda, we pay you to sing.
But all of y'all out there who have been praying for Henry, I want to thank you so very much. I've really been going through this past, I would say like a month. Henry had a heart attack. He had congestive heart failure. And then he had like another little episode with his kidneys. And so I ask you to continue to keep him in prayer. It has been very challenging, I haven't been married that long. And so he's a good husband. And so I've been doing the wifely duty but out of love though. I do it out of love. Now, some people do this out of guilt, but I didn't do mine out of guilt. And Johnny, Johnny called me today. And Johnny, can I put you on blast what you said to me?
Sure.
Johnny said, I want to know how you doing as the caregiver. And that was just so sweet, Johnny. I really appreciate that.
It's more than a notion.
Who? Oh, yeah.
People who've never been in that position don't understand it at all. I used to get mad with them, but then I realized they just don't have a clue. People who, like, they'll think that they're a caregiver if they visit somebody at a nursing facility or if they go to the hospital and visit someone. Well, I visit people. No, you're not a caregiver unless you're changing their underwear and bathing them and anything that might come up, taking the abuse from their frustration. Because a person, when you deal with a person who's independent and they get sick and can't do things that they normally do for themselves, you better be prepared. Yeah, it's a difference.
And their whole emotion changed.
Absolutely.
And I was going to say that. I mean, Henry went off on me about some black pepper. Wait a minute.
God, Lord have mercy.
It ain't funny, but for the caregivers out there,
but
y'all
I understand. But I do understand.
He went off.
It was a major thing for him.
Because in fact, I told him
they're losing control.
Absolutely,
and it's hard for them to accept that they can't do what they used to.
You're right, Emily.
Could do, and it's frustrating, and they don't know how to control themselves. So a lot of it does take a special individual to be a caregiver because you have to understand and have a lot of empathy.
Hello, Andrea Cook.
Andrea Cook had to come out and counsel us. Cause we were about to tear the house down over there at 201.
Thank you, Kiara, for your prayers for Mr.
You know, and what I was going to say is that because I didn't sprinkle the pepper, and this is how you're just talking about the thing. I didn't sprinkle the black pepper. This is no joke. All over his squash. I only sprinkled. It only just came out of this on one part. You didn't. I don't want to eat no hospital food. I ain't come home to eat no hospital food. I said, I tell you what.
I'm sorry. The man was not going. He was going. Roof, 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 roof. I got your back, Henry.
So I told him, I said, I tell you what. I said, from now on, I said, you get up out that chair, you come in the kitchen, and you sit down at the table, and your black pepper be there. So guess what I did? I fixed his plate. I put it on the table. You know, sometimes he don't see real good up close. So he was sprinkling the pepper on his cord, just sprinkling pepper. I'm sitting back there just looking. I said,
you ain't say nothing. You so low down.
I didn't say nothing. I just waited for him to put it to his mouth because I knew he was going to start sneezing.
Oh, my God.
Okay, let's see. So, how long have you and Henry been married?
Going on 4 years.
And when you met Henry, what was his health like?
He
was in great health,
He was in great health.
And in 4 years. In 4 years.
Brenda done just randomly. Yes, Kiara, Miss Cook, Andrea she's doing a great job with making mental health matters.
She does a good job of making me. And I was going to say to us that are out here, we always talk, you know, and even though we make light of things, because I think it's
you have to laugh. It's therapeutic.
You can't do nothing but
you have to laugh because
from
crying.
There you go, Emily. You
know, Johnny was a caregiver.
Oh man, was I?
And you know, and Emily quasi caregiver.
Excuse me while I remove Emily from under the bus. Come on, Emily. Emily, let me help you from under that bus.
I can't even get up.
I'm just saying.
But I love you, Emily. But I couldn't let that slide though.
No, you didn't.
Because you know the thing.
She's in rare form today.
Turned up on 1,000.
Sir.
The thing about it though that makes it challenging is the guilt that go along with it. Come on, John. The guilt to go along with giving, you know, and that's what I was saying, because you're like, I felt bad after I kind of like cussed him out about that pepper.
See, I never had that option of cursing my father out. So I don't know how that feels because he would have shot me.
But Johnny, it was hard though.
Oh, it's a very difficult thing.
And if you're dealing with one of your parents that have, or one of you giving care that has dementia, oh man,
it's the biggest challenge I've noticed in my little deal, and from other people that I've spoken to who do it, is when you are dealing with an individual who has been independent.
You better say
those are some tough cookies right there. People who just cannot receive it in their minds that they can't do the simplest thing for themselves. You got a problem on your hand, and you better learn how to practice humility.
You ain't lying.
Because if you don't, they're going to be calling the police on you for abuse or something.
I ain't lying. And they will. And by the way, they will call the police.
Oh, yeah.
They do it. I know a friend of mine whose mama called the police on them. Now, they're the caregiver, and they're doing everything humanly possible to take care of their parent. And mama got upset and called the police. So can you imagine how embarrassing that is for the police to come out to the house and you know that you've been taking care of them, and you haven't legally declared them to be that they need guardians. And so you're trying to explain to the police, please do not call Adult Protective Services because you know everything in the house ain't quite.
You know what? I know that there's somebody listening that have had the experience of being a caregiver or been around a caregiver. And our number is 478-250-1444. That's 478-250-1444. Because another difficult thing is to have to deal with a caregiver for the rest of the family and friends. To, you know, they have to take into account. They start noticing, hey, that caregiver, they kind of, have changed,
Why
and
wouldn't
that's
you?
another variable
Well, I was gonna say,
that
why
comes
wouldn't
along
you
with it.
change?
Yeah.
Because as the caregiver, you the only one giving care. Now I ain't talking about you. But I had some people that said to me, well, if you running everything, then you run that. You don't need any help.
Oh man,
And so
that one's a good one.
because so you have some family members that try to tell you how to give care as the caregiver and don't come over there and do nothing to help you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And they say, oh, you running things, you doing this, that, and the other. Well, you take care of it. You do it. Well, you just
and here's another complexity of that arena. So then you got that person that you just spoke of, right? But then you have to sometimes realize that they can't do what you're doing. Like they can't, they and you don't understand that they can't. You think they're just not helping, they're just not being of assistance, or they just don't care. But everybody can't take their parent and bathe them. There are people who just it's too much. They can't literally take their parent if their parent has tried to make it to the restroom on time and didn't make it.
Come on, Johnny.
And then you got to be the one to change them and all that stuff. And then you start saying, well, shoot, man, he got more children than me. Or
you better say it.
All these nieces and nephews and folk that, he freely gives, they can ask him for $1 and give it to them before he give it to me. And then you say, well, why won't they help? It's not because they don't care. It's a lot of people that just cannot do it, cannot clean their parents' private parts, because this is the actuality of it. When it gets to a certain point, it ain't just helping them stand up and helping them lay down and combing their hair. You got to clip their toenails. You got to clip the fingernails. You got to clean inside of their ears. You got to brush the teeth sometime. You got to literally straight up clean their private parts.
Like their baby.
And
like
that is a hard
that is
thing.
a hard thing to do. And the thing about it, the reason why I brought it up, I was like, people keep asking, just like, Brenda, how you doing? How you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I was doing fine until he almost died on my chest. I was doing, or at least I thought I was doing all right. So it is overwhelming. And I brought it out because I was like, you know what? There's a conversation to be had, and I don't know. And if you all know out there that's listening of a support group for caregivers, I don't think there's a support group.
It's one on Facebook. They got several.
They have some. I know that I got introduced to, my father had Parkinson's, and I was his caregiver for 10 years. And I found out afterwards that there was a care group for caregivers of patients who had Parkinson's. But let me tell you,
that's progressive too, because it gets worse and worse and worse.
Man, it's amazing. And like I say, in my personal experience, I did have a dad who was a super independent guy. He was pastoring 2 churches at once, worked at Armstrong full time, and had a lawn service. So he was just that guy. And for him to come up and then not be able to do simple tasks like feed himself sometimes, and it's the mindset. You can be trying to offer them help, and they're frustrated because they can't do it. And hey, I'm the dad, and I'm like, I wasn't saying anything about who was the father or son.
I got you.
But that comes out, and that's their mechanism to say, look, I'm still a man.
You better say it.
I'm still a man. But the way that comes out is, I'm trying to help you. You won't let me help you because you're trying to tell me I'm still a man. But the things that you need done, you can't do. And if I don't do it, now you're just standing there needing to be cleaned or something. And I'm like, let me do it. And you're like, no. And I'm like, yeah, but dude, come on, I love you. You think I'm not still a man. So these are the actualities of that particular environment. And sometimes they are some very uncomfortable things.
It is. And I think the challenge that I run into is that it's not necessarily as severe as yours, but his is mental, in that Henry is super independent.
Yeah, it gets frustrated, man.
And for him not to be able to walk downstairs and get on that computer and do his law.
Right.
And that's very frustrating
Yeah,
for him.
because he's wanting to be a servant. He's
Yeah,
wanting to
right.
help these folks.
Right.
And that's really bothering him that he can't help these people like he's normally able to help these
Like he's
people.
able to help
And
these
you
Man,
gotta
that's
be
tough.
nice, but you gotta be nice.
and
I knew
that,
she
and
was going to come
by
for
the way,
you,
and
Brenda.
I'm glad that you're saying that, because that's the challenge. Because it looks like to us caregivers, when we're providing care and support to our loved ones, that they're not being appreciative because of the feedback that we get back from them. But in your mind, you could intellectualize it all day. Well, we know that they're sick, but they catch you on a bad day.
Yeah, but you
when
still
you're
have
tired.
feelings. Yeah.
When you're tired, you're gonna push back. And so, that, you were saying was a Facebook group, but I just call Andrew Cook. I just call Andrea and get her to kind of work with us. And what she was able to do was to say, okay, Mr. Henry, she put him on a schedule. She said, okay, you can go downstairs, you can work on the computer for an hour, and you can return phone calls for an hour. And that was very helpful. It was where, he would
Because he feels now like he's back to doing himself,
Absolutely.
being himself.
Absolutely.
Having all of that taken away so suddenly, that's a hard thing for somebody that works like he does, to be stripped of that. And his pride, his work is his pride.
Yeah.
So when you strip somebody from, that which makes them who they are, and you take that away, it's like their mind is like, they don't know how to process that. And I think understanding where they're coming from, and again, having a lot of humility, because being a caregiver, you have to have a lot of humility, and you have to be empathetic. And it's hard to do. I've been there. It's extremely hard to do, but it's something in us, especially if you love the person,
right?
You'll put up with it, and it's hard to put up with it when they cussing you out or fussing over something that's what you think is the simplest thing, and but you just have to keep moving, and that you're doing it out of love.
Right. And I think that's the ticket, is that it's out of love. Because, and to the listeners, when you do what you do out of love, then it makes it easier to actually to go through with it, to be there and to be supportive. There was a prayer that I heard one time, that I read, on Facebook, and this guy was saying, I asked God to make me more humble. So he put him in situations that required humility.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I'm like, man, I must have been praying for humility, because he sure had put me in situations.
He needed to calm you down, because you.
I agree with you.
Well, I you know what though? I've actually calmed down. I walk, I sit out, I'm doing better.
A good thing that lightning doesn't strike when people say certain things. Because how old people used to say, that ain't the truth. Lightning gonna strike you down.
Right.
And I'm just so glad. Let me make sure there's no too much metal around.
But I think is on the show, I try to be transparent, and
all of us,
and
all
I
of
try
us.
to share with you, what I'm going through, because I know as I go through it, many of my listeners out there have gone through it or going through
Absolutely.
it. When you're having to go to work to have health insurance as part of being a caregiver, you can't stay home because you're carrying health care for the family.
Right.
So you got to go in, and you know what I'm saying? You got to go to work. You got to do, and you have to find a way to make your house run. All of those things. It's, as you say, it's so complex.
It is indeed complex. Here's another thing to throw into the pool. You're human, the caregiver. And sometimes you get, we got a caller.
Hello, caller. Hello.
I hear them, but they're only
Hello?
there they go.
Hey, how you doing?
Fine. How you all doing today?
Awesome.
Good, thank you.
Mrs. Sutton, I was going to give you a number that a person could tell you about a support group. She is my daughter. She works for the state of Georgia.
Okay.
She has this training business that she's training people, and she also has an adult daycare. And if you can get any information She would be the one that could tell you, what avenues to take. And I could give you her number because that she got business cards out, and it's not a private number.
Okay. I don't have it where I can write it down. Can you call and I can see if Mr. Jackson he can get it for me.
Okay, what you want me to do?
And just go ahead and I guess he's gonna disconnect and then he'll get that number. Thank you so much.
Okay, you want
So
me to
don't
send
you
it
hang
to
up. Don't you hang up. Don't hang up. Mr. Jackson's going to come back on the phone with you.
I appreciate her calling in and
Absolutely.
providing that. It's so many people because I know like the adult care, my husband is not to the point that he needs adult daycare, but there are some people out there who need
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
And, I was just going to go in now. See, we're just talking about adults, but let's just talk about people who have special needs, children,
Oh, man.
Children and things like that. That's more than a notion. So it's just a lot when and then too, let me go back. And then you're a parent on top of that. I mean, think about it, Johnny. Suppose you had a family and some children that you were trying to do and had to go to work. How you juggle all that, how you do the time management to fix all of that,
That's got to be a challenge. I probably just tie them all up and leave them in a room. No, seriously, I was just kidding everybody. So don't start calling in saying I'm tying up people, leaving them in a room. But what I did have an encounter today where a parent came in with two of their children into the office, and let's say you could tell that they were super energetic kids, that they had a problem being still beyond most kids. And I was like, well, if you tap them real good, they'll sit down. And they were like, well, no, I just try to talk to them and da 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 da. And I was like, no, and she said, well, can't you tell that they are sort of, they've got some issues? And I said, I understand all that, but pain will teach you what pride won't let you learn. And I know for a fact that if you get a good enough lick, you'll sit down somewhere.
Sit down.
Yeah,
right. But you know what though, Johnny? I'm going to agree with you that
sit down somewhere.
Johnny, I am going to agree with you. That I call it that new age parenting.
Yeah.
And I've seen, I saw one little boy on the TikTok. He was about 9 years old. He was talking back to his mama like, I mean, what? I didn't know what to say. I said,
yeah.
I started shivering and stuff.
Make you want to find those people and help the lady out.
I was just doing like this. Y'all can't hear me. Y'all can't see me.
Oh, we can. They can see you.
I'm talking about the ones on the radio.
Make you want to shift in your seat.
Yep.
Girl, I was just twisting and carrying on and stuff like that. And I said, woo.
Yeah.
If that had been dim, I'd have broke off one.
And I try to tell a lot of ladies that I encounter about these boys.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a chauvinist statement.
Mm-hmm.
But boys are a little bit tougher than girls. Because I remember clearly, I got 3 brothers. I remember clearly my mother, whipping us.
Oh, we got another caller.
Oh, well, let them call. Call on. Put
Hello,
them on.
caller.
Hello. Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing fine. How are you?
Doing good. I was talking. I want to make a comment about the caregiver. And
Yes.
I think it's really important because me and my wife was a caregiver for my mom. And
God bless you.
Thank you. It's an adjustment period, really. You have to adjust to that person as well as that person having to adjust to you. And you have to allow them to do as much as they can to feel good about themselves. And then you have to come in and just say, do you need some help? Mm-hmm. Because that would kind of lighten it from them because it's an adjustment. And the thing that helped me is I had to remember how my mom was before she got ill.
Okay. And
that helps to reflect so that you can have that type of empathy. Say, okay, this is who she is now. This ain't who she is. So this to help me to deal with her in her present condition. And sometimes, if it gets too overwhelming, you have to take a time-out break and just say, okay, I'll come back, because there's nothing that has to be done right now. So if the patient is having a bad day, let them have a bad day. Maybe 30 minutes will make a big difference. Go drink some coffee or whatever you like to do to relax, because being a caregiver is 24 hours a day. It's a hard job. It's 24 hours a day. And you have to make sure your mental health is up to the task, because, like for me, I'm blind, and I had to learn how to clean my mom. Mm-hmm. So it can be done once you move self out the way and say, okay, am I going to continue to say I can't do this, or am I going to do what needs to be done, or am I prepared to put my loved one in a facility that can do those things? So it can be done, because it's very intimidating, especially when you can't see what you're doing. But then I got those parts too, other than the private part. We're different, but everything else I have. And you can learn to do those things that you can't do, that you think you can't do.
Oh, wow.
And I agree with you, but there are just some people I've discovered, no matter how much they love their parent or elder, how much they feel empathy for people, is something about them that just won't let them do these things that we think everybody ought to be able to do. Like my dad, got to a point where I would have to help him to sit down on the toilet. And then I could walk right off and wait for him to call me when he finished. But then it got to a point, as soon as you set him down, before you could walk out of the room, he go, I'm not sitting right. So then you go adjust it real quick. And you say, you okay now? And then he'll say, yeah. And then before you can take 3 steps, he say, no, I need to move again. It's not quite right. So after you go through that like 15 times, you learn how to sit on the edge of the tub, in the bathroom with him. And so everybody can't do that. And I was, for a moment, I was thinking everybody ought to be able to do it. I'm doing it. But is there just certain things that, again, back to the humility part about acceptance. And sometimes you have more within yourself that you take for granted, because you think everybody else ought to be able to do it, but they are just simply not able to do it. And some things just can't wait. You know, what happens when you're dealing with one of those people who got diarrhea and you just went through this, God, please help me do this and clean this person. Oh, I got to stick my hand down there. And then you get it all cleaned up, and it's this monumental task that you just achieved. And then 2 minutes later, you right back at it again. So it's conditional who and what your situation is. It's a whole lot of variables.
Our caller
that
is
go
very
with it.
is very powerful, because
Yeah.
caller. Hello?
They left.
Hello?
Oh, there he is.
Caller, you said you were blind.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you were able to overcome this to be able to care for your parents. I mean, praise God for you. You're a fighter.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate it. What you said.
Well, it's one of those things. At first, it was. I'm not gonna say it was easy, but it's like riding a bicycle. You know how it's so hard. You seem like you can't get on that bike to ride, and then after you do it, it's like you get enough time and hours behind you. Then it's like you can do it. It's not that bad. The only thing is, I might have to wipe more to make sure you're clean. And and again, I had my wife. She helped me out a lot with them. Matter of fact, Johnny knows me. This way, Johnny.
Which way?
That I used to come down to Grant.
Oh, hey, man. The singer.
Yeah.
It used to be a Bibb County sheriff.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you again for that service. This is a fantastic guy. He's really a great gentleman.
Well, thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate you.
I just wanted to get that to you, and I hope that it helps you with dealing with your husband, because what he's going through is not his fault, like you said earlier, and it's not who he is. And with love and compassion, he will return stronger than ever.
Oh, he will.
Take time for yourself while you're doing it, and get a schedule of figure out what he needs at the time. Like if somebody bedridden, you kind of get an idea when they are going to need changing. You kind of, just like a baby, when you feed him, you know what.
He's not that bad, He's
Well,
not
I know
that.
that. I'm just using that example.
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
This dude can sing too.
Oh, he need to strike us a little number, but
I'm telling you, he can like sing.
thank you so much for calling in, Wade. We appreciate you.
We're
right.
still doing it on Sundays, Wade.
I'm coming. I just got to get myself together,
Okay,
I'm
brother.
just getting, together. So,
Well, we'll certainly look forward to seeing you, man. You're a good guy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, that brother can sing.
We've got a comment in the comment section. It says, also, if you are married, you can cause a problem. It can cause a problem in the long run, especially when the parent is not a husband or vice versa, begins to be a problem. And I would imagine he's talking about caregiving right there. I don't have, my eyes are not the greatest, so.
Yeah, you read it correctly. It says, also, if you're married, it can cause a problem in the long run, especially when the parent is not the husband or vice versa. It begins to be a problem.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your comment. It definitely does. I think the challenge, though, is that for some people in doing this, it's just that it is just not taking time for themselves.
So what he's saying is, which it could possibly become a problem. Say, for instance, if it's your mother, Burina, and you have to be the caregiver for her.
Okay.
You and Henry have to be her caregiver. Sometimes it becomes an issue because Henry may start to resent having to have that responsibility.
And he could. And you know what? Now that's real
and vice versa.
And vice versa. And that's real talk because, but now my mother is in the facility simply because she can't walk. And Henry and I are both too old. We can't lift my mother. Mm-hmm. And there are some that say, God, I had a relative say, well, you need to just get her out from up there and you just need to bring her home. And I was like, well, I tell you what, I think that may work for you. How about how many days a week are you going to come over here and help me with?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, I don't mean to be ugly. But
it's not ugly. It's not ugly. It's the truth. And people, I've realized that people don't want to accept your truth. Like your truth is your truth. My truth is my truth. Mm-hmm. So what I say, this is what works best for me. You may have an issue with that. And it's okay if you have an issue with that. And like she said, you're not going to come over and help me with my mother. And I actually have a very good client of mine that I've talked to her about this several times. Sometimes you have to do what's best for your loved one, not what's best for you. If having that loved one in a facility that can give them the 24-hour around the clock care that you are not able to provide, then that is the better place for them.
So you're saying practicality over emotionality.
Exactly.
You have to because let me tell you something.
Because nobody, I'm sorry, let me say this.
Go ahead.
Nobody wants, I would think nobody really wants to put their loved one in a nursing home.
Right.
I mean, I'm just speaking generally.
Nobody does.
Think nobody really
think
wants
anybody
to put their
does
loved one
that.
in a nursing home. But it gets to the point where I physically can't lift or I physically can't do this. And then I also have bills to pay. I have to go to work. I can't stay at home.
That's right.
And no one else is willing to come over and help and sit with you during the day. So sometimes you have to send them to a professional facility where those people are trained to deal with your mother or your brother or your dad or your loved one in a professional setting. You have to do your part. Now, I commend Johnny, to going and checking on your brother. You have to do your part where you're checking on your loved ones, because this is what I do know. If they know that you coming, if they know that you're one of the ones who comes and checks on your loved one every day, every other day, they are going to do what they're supposed to do because they know that someone is going to come behind them and check. You have people that are in nursing homes that haven't seen a loved one in 6 or 7 years.
I've been told at more than one facility during this 15-year journey by some people who worked in these nursing facilities that there are people who've been in their nursing home for 5-6 years and stuff. They got dropped off. They were these patients were in the hospital sick. They got better. They brought them from the hospital to the nursing facility. They did the paperwork of admittance and all that. And some of those people been there 5-6 years, and they have never met a family member.
Right.
And
it happens quite a bit.
Now the relationship that I have with where my mama is, they call me on the regular.
Yeah.
They call me, Brenda, she's got a bed sore, or we did this, we checked her urine, she got a urine infection, because my mama started talking crazy. The first thing I say, look here, y'all need to check her for a urinary tract infection, you know. So, you know, those are things that I do on a regular. And then I do have a supportive family. My cousins and stuff will go by and see my mom and stuff. And so I do have some help like that. And so they, you know, they do well. And even, you know, my ex-husband's family, because they consider my mama to be like their mom, they go by and check on her. So, you know, I'm blessed in that respect. But you're absolutely correct. They do drop them off. And they don't go by and see them, and they don't call them, and
and it would do. And this is something that everybody can be a part of. Anybody who ever has any time, because there are a lot of people who say, you know, that sing or that play the piano or that do different type things, or can teach some of the elderly in their nursing home how to do embroidery or whatever, you know, those kinds of things, or crafts. That's what I'm trying to say. If you got that kind of spirit, start going back to these nursing homes, and you know, pre-pandemic. If the facility has been deemed a safe place to go, start going back, because if just by people showing up at these facilities, it ensures that some of those staff people are going to make sure that the appearance of that place is up to par. And just by osmosis, it'll help all of the patients there.
You know, and you're right. And I think that, and that's part of it. But a lot of the people, now you may not, this is a controversial kind of statement, but you know, I have to say,
Emily, here it comes.
Sometimes the person that you're giving care to was something else. If you get where I'm going with it.
Oh, Lord.
They were something else. And now they sick.
And now all of a sudden they humble down and need your help.
Yeah, now they humble down and need your help. And you like, I ain't studying that mess. Because you know what? Because when you was able to be kind to me, you were not.
So there's a song called When Your Life Was Low. It says, now you're doing well. From stories I hear tell, you own the world again and everyone's your friend. But when you got back down again, you knew me again. But when you were doing great, you didn't answer my call, nothing. You didn't know nothing about me.
I've dealt with that.
That's when you really got, oh my goodness, Brenda. You just had to get that one in, didn't you?
Yeah, because that's real talk.
It is.
You know, because let me tell you something, because some of these people were something else. You know, I mean, and this is Tank for y'all, you know, he trying to go to the house and cut Henry's hair. So that's what I was trying to, you know, respond to that. But I'm serious, because you got some people that were not good. Every parent wasn't a good parent now.
Now, T.D. Brown says, sometimes caring for someone is realizing you are not the best caretaker. Getting what a loved one needs may not be you.
Right.
Love them enough to give them the best care, and mature enough to realize that it might not be you. That's wisdom speak.
That's literally what I was saying. Sometimes you have to know that the better places to put them in the professionals. And most of us,
Absolutely.
because I know my mom used to say, and still does, she was like, don't you ever put me in a nursing home. Don't you ever put me in a nursing home. And I've always said, I've always thought, yeah, I'll never put you in a nursing home. But as I'm, getting busier, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to realize, what, that may be the best place for you. Let's hope it never gets to that point. But I have to think in a realistic aspect. I'm like, the type of care that I would want you to have may not be what I'm able to give you.
Right.
But
you have to be unselfish.
Because when Mama, when I put Mama in it, Mama's mind, she would get up out of bed. Well, her legs wasn't moving, but she didn't know her legs wasn't moving. So she got up and fell on the floor and fell on the floor. Called me at 3:00 in the morning. Me and Henry had to go and pick her up, and she was dead weight. So I was like, I can't do that. So it really hurt my heart. Mama was a good mama, so it wasn't so bad. But when your mama ain't a good mama, or when your daddy ain't a good dad, and they didn't call you on the phone because you the only one survived, and they're trying to figure out what to do.
Brenda say because you the only one they got left.
But you want to know something? That's real talk.
It is.
And then too, and the people that are listening to artists can attest to this. And if it is a bunch of children, okay, and they got a little something, they don't do nothing while they living. But as soon as they gone, mama didn't leave the caregiver nothing. She gave to that other favorite child she had. Y'all better know it now.
It happens.
It happens a lot.
Yep.
It happens a lot. I know some instances of that, and that was so hurtful to the caregiver who had just given up everything to come home and take care of mama. And not that they wanted anything, but they wanted to be appreciated. You didn't give up your house, your job, and everything to come and take care of mama, and then only to find out when they transition, you got to get up out the house because the house ain't yours.
Well, you know what the ideology of a lot of parents back in the day was? That in that situation, they would have said, well, she's always been, or he's always been strong. And if I didn't leave them anything, they'll be able to make it on their own. But that one over there, they've always, been the weak one, and I got to leave it to them because they're not going to be able to make it on. Because, that is a lot of actuality of how the decisions are made by some of those from my predecessors.
Well, I'm just telling you, I've seen that more times than I want to.
You tired of seeing it, Ms.
I'm
Brenda?
trying to tell you, because y'all know I work in the coat. You see, I got my coat clothes on.
Oh,
Lord, got my jacket on today.
To work today.
Yes, Lord. And I'm just telling you, all of that. And it goes in, and I have seen people in tears. I took care of mama. I was there for mama. I changed mama. And she left it all to this one.
Yeah.
Why? Well, cause they felt like that one needed it more than the other.
Right.
Oh, please.
Right. But Brenda, when you went back to work, was your desk like you left it, or did they look like they were trying to fix it back like you had it?
My desk just like I left it the last time I was at work, like last Friday. That's how my desk
you know
was.
what, Emily? They probably had an iPhone. And they took a picture of how everything was placed. And they said, Brenda's coming back to work today. Let's put everything back. Put it back.
Right.
No, I went to work. I had some business. I had a business meeting.
Wait, what kind of meeting?
I had a business meeting.
Oh, you said business.
Yeah.
I had a business meeting that I had to do. Y'all are just awful.
Look, I just want to get this in before we go off the air. Y'all were talking about the technology, and the phones and that sort of thing, and it made me think about a friend of mine. You were talking about the facial recognition, and that kind of thing, and the guy, his girl kept wanting to go and get the password and all this stuff, and he would never give it up. So anyway, she discovered he had a facial recognition phone. So he went to sleep.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, she put it up.
And she put the phone up to his face. And the phone opened up. And she was going through his phone. and she saw a phone number that said side piece. And she dialed that number and her phone rang.
Wow. That's a joke, isn't it?
No.
I've heard of that actually happening for real.
Is that like that? Not a joke.
No.
You know, Henry.
No.
You know what, Henry? I know you had to listen. Henry's so dirty and low down. Henry said COVID was a very traumatic time. I said, what? It was very, very traumatic. It was traumatic for the side piece.
Y'all terrible.
He talking about the side piece caught it.
Okay, hey Matthew, we had to have a little fun before we get out of here, man. I'm sorry. That's a true story, though. Hey, but look, but back to
He should have kept his eyes
I
know.
know. Open with his eyes closed.
Yeah, she pulled his eyes open. But look, here's the deal. But back to the technology, because when I walked in, you all were talking about it.
Yeah.
I really have been in tune. And I've been telling people this for years. I'll never forget this conversation in my classroom when my teacher was talking about the 5 major conflicts about man versus man versus himself, man versus God, man versus nature, and man versus technology. And I'll never forget we got into this, I call it debate, with my teacher, because I was trying to tell my teacher that man in the technology part is going to be like crushing to us. And Lord knows, I look up last week and see Elon Musk in the game telling them to stop working with this AI thing, that they are getting afraid that it's going to overtake man.
That AI.
How long ago did I say that, Brenda?
That AI thing's so serious.
People think I'm crazy.
See, when the money folks go in there and start talking like that, something's up.
Well, the AI thing's so serious. I have an app that I use that assists with writing. And you just go in and you just say, write a letter to whatever, about whatever. And the thing generates this powerful letter. And so it'll be able to do books. It'll be able to do reports. It's just a really powerful piece.
It's thinking now.
Yeah, that's the. We'll probably have to talk about this off air, but yeah, the issue with artificial intelligence, because technology has gotten so far and so advanced, artificial intelligence, or AI, is ever evolving. So what they're doing is they're teaching the artificial intelligent androids, or robots rather, to self-evolve. So they consistently get smarter, but they learn from you, right? They learn from humans, and they learn to respond in a way that a human would respond. So it's an ever evolving type of technology, which is not good, because when you teach technology to think and act and behave like a human, then you have serious problems, because they'll start overthinking, outthinking, out processing us, and it's going to become a problem.
I think it's going to.
It's already a problem.
It's
but
already. It's
like
the
I said,
outthinking.
It's some stuff going on we need to know about.
No, we can talk about it, because I can give them the website they can go to right now. I don't want to give it out. Let me just say that, because the children are going there and start having them do papers, because it writes excellent. I mean, he didn't miss a beat. I use it. So you're absolutely correct. And the thing about it is, most of us don't like to read.
Yeah.
We don't like to read. We don't write. And when we write, we don't use punctuation. I mean, it's just, we're becoming intellectually lazy. And not only are we intellectually lazy, come on, Emily, we're spiritually lazy.
Oh, yeah. Definitely spiritually lazy.
Because if they will open up that third eye, artificial intelligence can't touch God. I mean, it can't touch God. But then you giving all this power to something. The operative word is artificial. When the supreme source of intelligence is know all, be all, better tap into that. Because that's the only way you're going to deal with artificial intelligence, is to tap into superior intelligence. There you go.
All right, guys, we love you. Thank you so much. We will see you all next Monday at 6:30.
No, at 5:30.
5:30.
5:30. And listen, if you go to the page and you see Wednesdays, we need to change that, because it's Mondays.
Yes.
But the page is saying Wednesday. And we've gotta change that.
You've been listening to All of a
Take care.
Sudden. Join them every Monday evening from 5:30 to 6:30. All of a Sudden with your host, Brenda Sutton. That's every Monday. We'll see you there.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants